So I've started recording this satsang. So I want to start with a question that was raised last class. So Haraprasad ji, there was a question about this Taittiriya Upanishad. So Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. So he was right when he said that the teaching ends there. So yeah, there is more teaching after that, no doubt. So Manana and Nidhidhyaasana, etc. Some advice and all comes. A lot of advice comes. So there, the setting appears like the teaching is completed. The main Atma Vidya is completed. Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. So Bhrigu understood that Atma is Satchidananda. That is true. And then there is some advice. Okay, please go out into the real world. Like when commencement, the commencement ceremony is there in the Upanishads. Or what do you call it? It is called, it's called something in India. I forgot what they call it. Yeah. So the graduation ceremony. So that happens. That is what happens afterwards. So yes, I did not make it clear, but what Haraprasad ji said was correct. That is, the teaching essentially gets completed there. And this Anandamaya is little different. Anandamaya is not to be confused with this Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. And we will see it later also. Anandamaya, that kosha, it is part of the Panchakosha Titaha we covered. So the last kosha is Anandamaya kosha. And there it talks about different levels of Ananda. Experiential Ananda. We all have that experience of happiness taking now up, now down, now up, now down. That is what Anandamaya Kosha refers to. Okay, so just in case we need to clarify that. So we'll cover Anandamaya Kosha once again. Then the student will ask the question. Okay, so okay, Mahesh, that today's class is very interesting. Thank you. Yeah, it's very fascinating, and it is what we miss out. Somebody put a black dot in a big white piece of paper and asked, what are you seeing? What are you looking at? What do you see? And the other guy said, yeah, I see a small black dot. Yeah, really? Are you sure? You don't see anything else? No, I don't see anything else. So that is the problem. You don't see all this white space? Oh, white space? Yeah, of course there is a lot of white space. Yeah. So that white space we missed out. And so the whole Vedanta is trying to bring our attention to that and thereby correct our wrong conclusions. So yeah, Bhuvanesh, go ahead, unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, there is this Nirvanashtaka Stotra by Shankaracharya, which says this is not that, this is not this, this is not this, and try to define the Shivoham, this is Shivoham. Does this something related to what you were speaking today? This is not that, this is not this. And why they use this negation to make us understand what is real.
Okay. So can you repeat the last question? Why they use negation? Continue that.
To make us understand what the real thing is.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so question is Nirvana Shatkam of Adi Shankaracharya, Manobuddhyankara, Chittani Naham. So, so Shankaracharya is talking about, that is where we get this idea, that is what we covered. In today's class also we covered that, what Shankaracharya said, Manobuddhyankara, Chittani Naham. So there the word chit, you can guess what it means. Manaha na aham. I am not mind. I am not mind. I am not buddhi, the intellect. Chittani naham also he says. What can chitta mean? So it can't mean consciousness.
Memory.
Exactly. Memory. There chitta means memory. Yeah, chittani naham. So shivoham, shivoham. So there he uses the word shiva for Atma, for a particular, that Atma is what I am blessed with. The source of all blessing, source of all auspiciousness is Atma, like that he said. Yes, so that the first answer to your first question is yes, Shivoham is all about, is what we talked about. Second question is, why does the Shastram use negation? That is the question. See, when I do not know something, that example we gave of this small girl who did not know what a walker is, correct? She doesn't know what a walker is. And all you have to do is show the walker to her and say, this is walker. Oh, this is walker? Yes, this is walker. What do they do with this? They can hold on to it and keep walking. So they won't fall down. That's it. Clear. The child is clear. Something that she doesn't know of, she hasn't seen anything, and you can show, and the problem is solved. That person is no longer ignorant about that object. An object that I previously did not know anything about. Okay, Bhunesh? Yeah. So, when I'm ignorant about an object that I'm completely ignorant about, negation need not be used. So we gave the example of how the one person is negating all the time. This is not walker. This is not walker. This is not walker. And even that child will get tired. And the child will say, wait a minute, uncle, tell me what the walker is. She will be straight, she will be honest. Tell me, what are you saying? Tell me. So, negation not needed. The child also knows negation is not needed. But then, if there is something about which I think I know a lot, okay? If there is something about which I already have a lot of ideas about, and I'm very sure about that also, but that happens to be wrong, okay? What I think I know happens to be wrong, then what do you do? Correct? Then what do you do? So we gave the example of this, somebody who comes after attending this program, 3-hour program, and says, oh, the mayor spoke very well. He spoke very well, he says, and immediately it became clear to us that he mistook. Because the mayor is a lady, and he said he did this, he did that. So clearly this guy is confused about who the mayor is. There we have to point out and say, that person whom you are talking about is not the mayor, correct? It's not the mayor. The answer starts with a negation. Negation, correct? Starts with a negation. Because you have to first remove some ideas that are there in the head. You have to remove the ideas. That is why negation. So therefore, body, come back to this. I am a mortal. Because I am equal to this body, correct? I am no better than this body. And the body is changing, the body is aging, and the body is going to go away one day. Therefore, I am a mortal. I am a mortal. Shastra says that is wrong. This body is a mortal, correct statement, but I am a mortal is wrong. Correct? So, because we have such a deeply entrenched notion, deeply entrenched, this person is the mayor, okay, at least that by a couple of negations I can correct it. But here this notion is so deeply entrenched that negation has to be constantly used until to more or less I am fairly clear about it. Okay, now you understand why, Bhunesh?
Yeah, I got it. Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, Venkateshanji, go ahead, unmute yourself.
This consciousness is always associated with brilliance or light.
Yeah, so the first word was what? Consciousness was also associated with what?
He's only associated with brilliance, that is light, infinite light.
Oh, infrared
Because
light.
huh?
So what is, you said infrared. Ask the question again.
Brilliance. I used the word brilliance.
Yeah, brilliance and light. That's what you're saying, right?
Yeah, consciousness is mostly it is associated with light.
Correct.
But whereas there are some 1,000 attributes in the Vishnu Sahasranama itself, he himself says it is limited. 1,000 is not there, it is something more.
Correct. Yeah. So
Number two, we are telling we are floating in consciousness. That is correct. That is everything. You are once. What about consciousness about Sunya and infinity?
Good. What about consciousness of Shunya and infinity? Good questions. Yeah.
And the consciousness is floating in us. That means floating. What is that word exactly? I could not recollect, understand what is that floating. We are floating in consciousness.
Good questions. So I'm going to mute yourself if you don't mind. Yeah, first question. Consciousness related to light or brilliance. Yeah, so see, we need some examples to appreciate what we are talking about. We are always in search of an example. What a good example can do, nothing else can do. Okay, good example. It's always important. So yeah, so we talk about light as light we appreciate, especially sunlight is such a great example for consciousness because there is no place where there is no sunlight. There is no place where there is no sunlight. We can at least visualize that as an example. Therefore, yes, light is used as an example for pervasiveness and for brilliance also. Brilliance too, because the most brilliant object we know right in front of us is the sun. Thankfully, he comes every day and it amazes us. So yes, brilliance, that's chit. consciousness is also because it is self-evident, and that self-evident is the shine that we are trying to appreciate. And like the sun, consciousness is brilliant, it is shining. So example, yes, the brilliance, light, all are examples used to appreciate consciousness. Okay. Second question. So let's talk about this consciousness of Shunya. Yeah, any concept I have, right? Shunya is also a concept. And any idea, any concept I have is an object of consciousness. Shunya, if you say, if Atma is Shunya, so that is Shunyavadi, Bodha Mata is Shunya, right? Atma is Shunya. So Shunya, when you say non-existent, absence, void. My nature is non-existence. I don't exist. So we get into some contradictions if we say I am Shunya. We get into contradictions because, first of all, I exist happens to be a fact. And Shunya cannot sustain existence. Something that is absent cannot be an ashraya, cannot sustain existence, cannot sustain all these thoughts I have, cannot objectify anything. Okay? Something that is absent, it's all absence. Then how about my thoughts? How about everything in this world? What about my body? How is that sustained? Shunya, I am Shunya is not possible. It's not possible. Very difficult argument to defend that I am Shunya. Okay, so that is one answer, the answer to whether I am Shunya. But Shunya as a concept is sustained by consciousness. It's a thought, Shunya. It's a thought, no doubt. There is something called emptiness. I can appreciate emptiness. And so that is objectified. And yes, that also is sustained by consciousness. So you had one more question. The second question, can you repeat that?
Yeah, the infinity.
Yeah. So, Sahasranama. And Vishnu says, this is just a small amsha. Krishna says, this is just a small part of me. Don't be carried away by these 1,000 names. There are many more names. Correct? What is the meaning of that? What is the meaning of that? It means one thing. Even if I told you 9,000 more names and bring to another whole number 10,000, even if I tell you 90,000 more names and bring it to 100,000, it won't be enough. Correct? Because if it were enough, then he will say, no, there are 90,000 more names, I didn't tell you. And maybe another Janma, you come to Vaikuntha, I will teach you that also. He could have said that. Therefore, it is very obvious. Any number of names you talk about is not enough to define me. That means what? Every name is a nama, it is a rupa, and nama rupa is mithya, and I am satyam. And satyam cannot have a form. I am all pervasive. Therefore, I can take on any form. You can invent your own form and bring it. That is the 1,001st name. That is me. You can write your own, Venkateshanji, you can now write your own Sahasranama for Vishnu. Vishnu can't deny it. Even Vishnu can't say no to those 1,000 names. Because they're all Vishnu. There is nothing here that is not Vishnu. There is nothing here that is not Atma. Correct? Therefore, that is the meaning. That is what we should take from Krishna's statement, that I am only, whatever I have told you is only a small fraction of who I am. Okay? Yeah. Good questions. Good questions. Yeah, Ashutosh, go ahead and unmute yourself. We have 5 minutes.
So my question was more sort of, it was more of a personal question for you. Like, since you have learned about Vedanta, since you have been in practice since past, I don't know, like 20, 30, 40 years, how have you seen yourself evolving? Like, have you become more, how have you seen changes in your life? Have your relations become better? Have you gained any siddhi? It's quite possible. Have you become more peaceful? Were there any problems in your life that you were able to resolve? So, and I'm asking this question because, say in next, not immediately, but like in maybe 1 year time, 2 years time, as you continue to gain more and more knowledge, then what can I expect? What are some of the milestones that would define that, hey, you are making progress in this spiritual path? And, ultimately, what do you think is the ultimate destination according to you? So that was like, I wanted to know, like, because we are in this class and we are on this journey. So I wanted to understand, like, what are some of the milestones and where should we expect to reach?
Yeah. So fair question. Interesting question. Good question. So, yeah, I started studying in 96 actually. That was my first year when I got exposed to this idea. When I first heard Swamiji's talk, I never got exposed to these ideas prior to that. So it is not like I thought, oh, this is interesting, I need to know a little more about Vedanta, therefore let me go to the ashram. That is not the idea. Somebody pushed me and said, Jayakumar, go there, you'll like these talks. And so that's how I started. Okay, so the more important question is, what happens to us by Vedanta? This is the summary of sum and substance of your question. So there are, when Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita talks, we will see, when we study Bhagavad Gita, there are basically 2 topics in the Bhagavad Gita. Broadly, you can divide it into 2 topics. One is called Karma Yoga, the other is Jnana Yoga. Okay. Now, why Karma Yoga? This is all about knowledge we've been talking about. Trying to know a fact that I don't know. And more importantly, I've made a mistake about. Correct? Then the Shastra makes it clear. I need to be prepared to deal with this knowledge, to appreciate this. Is there some noise somewhere? Are you hearing a noise when I speak?
No, I'm not.
Okay. So we will see. I'm hearing some kind of a screeching noise.
Yeah, I can hear the noise.
Yeah, some TV is on.
Okay. So let's see. I've muted Ashutosh also for now. So there is something called preparation. Just like any subject matter, preparation has to be there. Hey, if a girl having finished high school cannot simply walk into a third year college course, she can't, because the mind is not prepared. But after going through two years, first year and second year, then she can enter this course and be ready for it and can say, yes, I understood. This third year chemistry, I understood. So that preparation, what is that preparation? If you see, in one mind, if I can answer your question, we can get the preparation while we study Vedanta. So interesting thing about Vedanta is this adhikaritvam that we talked about, none of us really have it in full measure. Vivekam, Vairagyam, Samadhi, Shakka, Sampati, Ityadi. We don't have it in full measure. So what Vedanta does is, it begins to give me those qualifications. I begin to gain Viveka. I begin to gain Vairagyam, dispassion. So what did I get in the last 20 years, if you ask? I became more and more dispassionate about things. Means things that used to attract me and pull me no longer had that kind of power over me. Correct? It can be anything. It can be just going outside and going to the mall. Mall is a good example where to give this example of attraction. Because people go to the mall to buy one thing or two things. And why do they come back home with 10 things? Please tell me. See, it is very obvious that I have been tricked into buying so many things. So Vairagya means I don't buy things. I buy things I want. I don't buy things I don't want. Okay? Simple. We need to talk about this. Is how we grow up. This is how we grow up. Even though we talk about Vedanta and consciousness and all that, I never got fooled by these statements like, oh, this is very abstract. No. It is not abstract because it is talking about me. It is talking about me. How am I abstract? If I ask somebody, are you abstract or concrete? You are an abstract. You are so abstract. It's an insult to say that you are so abstract. So the Shastram is talking about me. I am not abstract. It is trying to make me understand something. Yeah, I have difficulty understanding. All that I can appreciate. But I held on to it. I realized long ago that this is it. And whatever happens, I am not going to give up this subject, this Shastram, which is what I was born in that. All of us are born in that. Why will I give up? We're all born. Our rishis were all, our forefathers were all rishis. They were the ones who gave it. So I owned it up. I said, I need to own it up. And that is number 2. So first, go back to number 1 is we will start gaining all these qualities. Vairagyam grows in. And this dispassion outside the home also dispassion. Inside the home also dispassion. How? So, I am a lover of sweets. Let's come to this basics. You know, they say, what is it? Brass tacks or something they say. I don't, correct? Brass tacks. Let's talk about some real things that make sense to us. Come down to the basics. Cheese, kya hai? Matlab kya? Let's talk about matlabi stuff. So yeah, I like sweets. I like all this gulab jamun and peda and dudh peda and all these things. Somebody will gives me a small 250 grams of peda. The peda used to go inside my stomach. 10 minutes later, peda has become Jayakumar. Means there is no difference between me and the peda. So that's how I was. So, habits, things attracting. So all these habits have to change. I can't become a victim of things in this world. So then dispassion grows. Dispassion grows. To a point where I can look at something so attractive. Mysore Pak, who can say no to Mysore Pak? And so I practiced all these things. I practiced and say, my God, I love this. I'm going to say no. What will happen? I used to tell myself, what will happen if I say no? Will I lose something? Am I going to become a loser in the process? Is the sky going to fall down? Am I going to hurt a lot of people if I say no? What will happen if I say no? I used to ask this question because my hand is there, already there. And it's already almost going to enter the mouth. And I have to ask myself, okay, what happens if you don't eat this? So all these exercises I did. And we have to do it. Then only it dawns on us that, oh my God, yeah, it's really not that bad. And I think I can survive without some of these things. Nothing, I don't have to own all these things. And so this was a process, and then my life became very simple after that. And I got into all this learning, studying, group study and all that. And I started teaching Sanskrit. And I never used to go to the mall. Once a month, some soap or something is needed, I used to go. That's all. And grocery also, once a week, I used to go. On the way to class or on the way back from class, I used to go quickly, go to the grocery store, buy some tomatoes and all that, come out, go home. That's it. I never used to spend time in the store at all. And to a point where after Amazon and all, I said I will order even the small basic clothes that normally people go to the stores. I will finish it in 5 minutes. And so one can make a better use of one's time. So another thing I learned is time. Every minute is important. And so I began to get a better sense of time and make use of time properly. So like this, we can talk. And so a lot of these modifications I made in my life. And slowly it became part of me. Previously, I used to make an extra effort, but then the effort was not needed. Like when you're learning to bicycle, you have to make a lot of effort. To balance. Fear of falling down. All this is there. But once you know to ride a bike or a car, second nature. Everything is second nature. So coming to a point where everything is second nature. So all values, so I'm beginning to look at when I talk somebody, you asked about relationships, very important. Very important. I was in a relationship which broke after some 10 years. And then relationship, so important. And I used to observe myself. I recognized by saying so many things, I was hurting people. And that is not correct. And so I made efforts to change those behaviors. And I used to do some exercises to change those behaviors. So I used to read books on psychology and techniques. So if I am having the habit of reacting to situations, you said something, I immediately reacted. Reaction doesn't help anybody. So I did some exercises to overcome those reactions. I had to remind myself, no, reaction doesn't help anybody. And so every morning I used to I used to write all these affirmations and look at those affirmations and tell myself, remind myself, no, I shall not react. I will respond. I will take a minute to think about it and then respond. Something like that. I had to tell myself. So I did a lot of these things. I did a self-assessment. All that is needed. The Upanishad won't tell all these things because the Upanishad is talking to an adhikari, remember. Sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. That is what the Upanishad is addressing. But I am not a sadhana chatushtaya sampanna. I am only beginning to appreciate I need to develop it. Therefore, one of the things Vedanta does is, one of the things we tell people to attend these classes constantly, even if you don't seem to understand, is this reason that there is a lot of inner transformation that has to happen in our own character. We have so many blind spots. All that has to change. So don't be disheartened. Don't think some magic will happen. Nobody promises magic. Our acharyas don't promise any magic because they want a complete transformation. And so keep attending classes, keep listening, because when they keep listening, this is what happens. Slowly we become more introspective. Like all of you are introspective. And in our daily life, we become more introspective. And we watch what we say, what we do. We follow through where we are supposed to follow through. We walk away from things that we might recognize as something that's a waste of my time. This is not needed. So any hobbies we have, sometimes we will walk away from those hobbies because it doesn't serve my purpose anymore. I need to spend more time with myself. So all these parties and this and that, very obvious when you do those things. Some people are so-called extrovert and they like to be among people. So when we talk about Bhagavad Gita, Krishna makes it a point and says, Vivikta Desa Seviktvam, one of the values, one of the 20 values. He says, one of the value is loving to be by yourself. Opposite of every evening I want to be in a party. Exactly opposite of that. I want to be in the middle of a group of people. Not that being in the middle of grouping is wrong. That's not what Krishna says. But if I'm always in the middle of a group of people, I am focusing on others all the time. Where is the time to focus on myself? That is the idea. Once I am sure of myself, then I can be in any group and I am unperturbed. No group can influence me. And I can be a blessing for people in the group. Okay. So no Swami is afraid of being in a group. They're always in groups, in fact. In fact, no Swami, like our Swamiji, has a personal life at all. They're always either talking, giving a lecture, traveling to give a lecture, or they are in their ashram and they are surrounded by people all the time. So they don't have any private life at all. So, but they are okay because once you are sure of yourself, then there is no problem. So I will stop with that. It's 8:15 now. But Ashutosh, go ahead and unmute yourself and let me know if this helped you a little bit.
No, absolutely. And thank you so much. I think it was really, really insightful. And thank you. Thanks. Really appreciate your personal examples. And yeah, thanks.
Sure. So we'll talk more about this. It will come in generally in Vedanta. This topic will come because the Upanishad takes all this for granted, and they won't talk about Vairagyam, even Viveka, Vairagyam and all, they won't talk. Because they will assume he's a Viveki, he's a Vairagi, ready for knowledge, so it talks about Atma and Brahman and walks away. But here we need to elaborate a little more. And so we will bring it up as we go forward. Thanks for that question. Okay, we'll conclude now, and we will meet next week. Everybody doing good?
Yeah.
Very good.
Yes. Thank you.
Dhanyavadaha. Thank you.
Thank you, Jacob.
Nice to see all of you. Have a
Thank
nice
you.
week. Take care. Bye bye.
Thanks.
Okay.